I am so excited for you to tune into this episode with Dr. Michael Gervais. He is one of the world's top elite performance psychologists. He's worked with Super Bowl champions, Olympic gold medalists, world record daredevils, Fortune 50 top C-suite executives, and he is the founder of Finding Mastery, in addition to being the creator and host of his podcast, which has over 500 episodes now, I think, at this point. My conversation with Michael is something you just don't want to miss. I am so grateful to Michael for coming on the show. We speak the same language. And he said to me, Aaron, you know, what you're trying to do in beating ALS is unreasonable, but why not you? It takes an unreasonable dream, an unreasonable mentality, an unreasonable mastery of the self in order to live your impossible dreams sometimes, and why not you? And so I'm really excited to share this episode with you because there's a difference between talking about living your impossible and actually doing it. Michael has helped so many people to do it. I was grateful that he, through our conversation, helped me to do it, and we can help you to do it. The mantra of this show used to be dream your impossible dreams. And I would sing the song, right? To dream the impossible dream. But it has become, has evolved into live your impossible dreams, live your impossible. That's what I want to help you to do. That's my passion. And staying in the creative energies helps me to heal while I help you heal. So let's do this together. I can't wait for you to listen and watch this conversation with myself and Dr. Michael Gervais. Thank you so much for tuning in. And this is Impossible Dreams. Dr. Michael Gervais, welcome to Impossible Dreams. I'm so excited to have you.
I'm stoked to be here with you. Thank you for creating the space to make this happen for me.
I appreciate that. Thank you. So you are, by not just my account, but the accounts of so many incredibly top-performing elite athletes, humans, right? Not just elite performers in their fields, but performers as human beings. You are the master of helping all these people find mastery. How did that start for you?
Very kind. First, I think that I would not accept the position of being a master.
Okay.
I'm on the path, and I'm committed to the path of understanding mastery of self through mastery of craft. And so the craft is just this thing that somebody can do exceptionally well, or they're really deeply interested in it, whatever it might be. And it's almost like I don't want to sound blasphemous to the communities I'm in, but I'm not that interested in the craft. I'm interested in the way that the person orientates their mind, orientates their relationships with others, orientates their relationship with experience, to be able to pour in to something that looks really easy, but is incredibly intricate and complicated to do. So I'm much more interested in mastery of self than mastery of craft. But you put the two together, you got something that's pretty special.
I mean, I think that just leads me right back to, would you say that mastery of self is in essence a spiritual practice?
I think it can be. I think I think you'll recognize what I'm about to say here is that when you speak to people that are extraordinary in the way that they live their life, so they have a great life. It's not something that is dictated by the external conditions. It's primarily dictated from the way that they work from the inside out. And the spiritual, when you talk about the spiritual path, this is the part I was going to say, is that most of those extraordinaries, they talk about the same things. Most of the 11 world, or all of the 11 world religions kind of talk about the same thing, which is the deeper principles and working from those deep principles to line up your thoughts, your words, and your actions eloquently in even the most rugged and hostile of conditions. So we would never throw somebody to a hostile condition and say, be your very best right now, without training how to line up thoughts, words, and actions in calm environments. And then a little more stressful environment, and then even more stressful. And then you keep pushing it to one day you have this sense of full command, or early on the path, a kind of a haphazard command. But you still have a sense of like, how do I work? How does thought one and thought two work together with emotion A and emotion B? And until we become aware, I'm going to bring this back to spiritual, until we become aware of how our inner world works, we'll never really be able to be so settled and fully present to understand all of the gifts of life. And those gifts are relational. They're gifts with the experience. They're gifts with the sense of awe that Mother Nature can provide us. So we do need to work on the internal experience to be able to experience the riches of the external experience.
I could not agree with you more. You're preaching to the choir. I have looked into this camera many times to say, I wish I could have learned everything that I've learned over the last couple of years without ALS. Maybe you can. And I think you've just said it in a much more, it got me emotional because when you said you can't throw somebody into that crisis and then expect them to be an elite mindset performer. But that happens to people. It happened to me. Although when I look back, I could go, oh, I see how, I see how all of these moments or this particular experience was training for, laying the foundational groundwork of mindset mastery that allowed me to then tap into my highest potential with this crisis in front of me and go, okay, I'm going to put all that to work for me. But what you're saying is, it's the heartfelt mission of why this podcast exists. It's to say to people, you have an opportunity, hopefully, most of you have an opportunity before the incredible adversity to just start to be curious about self-mastery right now, and it will always be there for you.
You're either in a storm or heading to it, is a first principle for me. Yeah, it's a first principle for me. And it reminds me that somebody that I'm speaking with that seemingly seems okay could be in the middle of a storm, or they're heading to a storm. Me too. There's something about meeting a moment with eloquence, meeting a moment with dignity, meeting a moment to be able to know that you're not in it alone, but that you are an emblem and a lifeline and or a piece of hope for other people as well. So nobody's in this thing alone. Mm-hmm. It's too complicated, and nobody certainly does the extraordinary alone. It's way too complicated. So we need each other. This whole kind of thing is emotions and relationships are running the whole show. And oftentimes when we meet ourselves in a moment where we come up short or we come up in a way that we don't have a way through, because we're feel like we've just fallen into 1,000 pieces. And I don't know what it's like, of course, to get a diagnosis that fundamentally changes everything about my physiology, which is what you received. And I would imagine that you fall into 1,000 pieces plenty of times and that you've also squared up with it. You've wrestled with that dragon and you're coming through it in a way like, look, there's some stuff I learned to be an elite performer. There's some things I learned. And that has helped me a lot. I know how to work with stress. I know how to prepare my mind. I know how to be emotional in moments where other people might be overrun by their emotions, that you have a way to harness that. Mm. So you have trained in many ways, I would imagine, that would help you. And probably that training was not exactly everything you needed, but there's more to learn. Yeah. So I think you're really unique. When I was watching what you've been doing over the last handful of years, like you're in a really unique situation to help point to the power of understanding how to use your psychology. And again, I'm stoked to sit here with you.
It means so much coming from you. I appreciate that. Yeah. And it certainly has felt that way. It's felt bigger than me, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, it's as simple as when you audition for 200 roles as an actor and get told no and keep insisting, right, that I'm going to keep going, that kind of, it's a blessing and a curse. You talk about this.
Wait, can I stay there for a minute? When you first said, when I got diagnosed, I was like, all right, I'm going to be the one to kick its ass. I said, oh yeah, I see me in that. Like, I see most of the extraordinaries. They're unreasonable. It's unreasonable to think that you can be the one. It's unreasonable to think that you can be the one in anything. But somehow, somebody is, and why not you?
That's right.
Yeah. Why not be the one that changes the narrative? Why not be the one that takes your family narrative forward or takes a community forward? Why not? You have to earn that right to be that radically unreasonable. Otherwise, you're just kind of like a kook. But when you said it, it was organic to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are you still in that same frame that you're going to beat it, or are you in a different? Have you shifted that approach? And I'm not sure what beating it means, by the way.
Yeah. Well, and I wasn't. I pretty early on, I was quoted as saying, I think beat is the wrong verb. It's to heal from it, because there's so many ways to heal. And what am I going to war with? And I really wanted it to be that verb as kind of like a former athlete, guy who just continually wants to be the best at whatever I do. And it's tough to go to war with an invisible thing that's doing a thing that you want to talk about unreasonable. I mean, the disease itself is totally unreasonable. I love the word. I used the word incomprehensible up to this point as a word that just it doesn't make sense. Why would the body decide to kill itself while the mind remains? It doesn't make any sense. Although, in reading all these books and doing all this research, German New Medicine gave me an incredibly powerful image. There was a doctor and his wife, they lost a child, and in the absence and the loss and the grief, he developed testicular cancer, she developed ovarian cancer. And they looked at each other and went, this can't just be random. There's got to be something going on here. And they psychologically determined for themselves that their bodies were trying to make another kid, right? And they looked at ALS and they started to create what's called German New Medicine. For ALS, I remember my mind being blown because it said ALS is a disease of the person feeling prey to a predator, either an event in life, a person in life, or life itself. And so the body plays dead. And I thought to myself, is that me? Despite all my success, has something caused me to feel like prey to life? And oh, hells yes, it did. I had slowly eroded away my trust in myself, my belief in myself to accomplish the dreams that I had for myself and my family. And I had lost my trust in life.
Depressed or anxious?
Anxious.
Yeah. So you abandoned the kind of dignity that you would hold within yourself for the approval and praise from others?
When I was looking at your book, which, correct me if I'm wrong, a couple years ago, First Rule of Mastery, fear of...
Stop worrying about what people think of you.
What people think of you.
You're going to fear people's opinions. FOPO is a fun phrase.
Yeah, I think it was very deeply psychological for me, meaning I can look back and know that my soul chose the theater thing. It just started as a kid. But when you lose that faith and trust in the path and start going, you talk about this too, that true mastery is not what I did, which is pushing and pushing and push and just keep pushing, right? For more, to get more, be more, do more, have more, because I'm afraid.
Yeah, I think that's the case for most of us. So what you're describing, you're right, is not mastery, a path of mastery. That's like the path of high performance, which is this idea that, that there's like this proverbial treadmill of high performance. Get on it, grind until, you can't anymore. And eventually you'll have something from that, but you'll lack, I think, much more. You'll have some money, some whatever. It's a pretty well seen recipe about that hustle hard, grind hard thing. And I'm not saying that work is not part of the process. I'm just saying that sloppy proverbial treadmill for high performance is not what it's cracked up to be. And it's quite dangerous. You can achieve a lot from it. And especially if you happen to find your genetic codings matched with the environment that supports that thing, like you for the voice and the smile and the charisma to be on stage. Like if you find that match, the high performance treadmill, works a little bit more efficiently. But there's still a metallic feeling to the path of high performance versus the path of mastery.
Yes.
There's some warmth and contour to it. both are equally difficult. Like both have equal challenges in there. I'm just more interested in the contour and the kind of more enduring principles that come with mastery. And I do think that they are more aligned with the 11 world religions more than they are with the hustle hard, get after it mentality.
Since you've started this work, which is, I think, 20 plus years ago, to today, have you seen a shift in that what is accepted as success, which I think used to be the hustle grind, and now more people's eyes, there's more curiosity about another way of doing it?
I don't think so. I think the hustle hard, anxiety provoking narrative is still pervasive. And the value that comes from external is still the predominant value for most people, meaning that I'm okay if I've got money in the bank. I'm okay if people laugh at my jokes. I'm okay if I've got a position of power. I'm okay if I drive a nice car and have a nice watch. And there's nothing wrong with any of those. But when they are the primary source, like my father-in-law always says, he came to the U.S. From Central America with $100. His dad died when he was 3 years old. His mom came first when he was, I think he was 12. And she came, so he was kind of left with some family members in a neighborhood that didn't have a whole lot. She saved a bunch of money from the U.S., sent it back. She didn't have papers. Okay, this was 50 years ago. And it's the American dream because he came by himself with $100 in his name, 15-year-old kid.
My God.
Right?
Yeah.
And he came, and so something he reminds me of all the time, he's like, look, if you can afford 3 watches, buy 3 watches. It's awesome. And he looks at me, he's like, but what are you really doing here? I'm like, yeah, that's the right question. What am I really doing here? What do I really, 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 really want in this spinning rock that we're on, in this made up language that we're both using? You have your body, I have my body. Neither of us chose it. We're trying to do the best we possibly can with what we have. Like, what do I really, 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 really want? And I think that's a foundational question to wrestle with. And until you get clear on it, maybe I've heard you talk about the gift of ALS, which I find to be a remarkable perspective, that I think maybe the gift that you're referring to is that it forced me to answer that question, to get honest with that question. Like, holy shit, like, what was I doing? A little hollow, a little empty, the anxiety that you're talking about.
100%.
World-class talent, highly recognized. You walk into a room and people look at you and they're like, oh, look, there's Aaron. So it's not until we get to that place where some of us get forced to our knees, but at some point that we're like, wait, I need to square up with what am I really doing here? You and I don't know how much time we're going to have left.
Nobody does.
And that's meant to be inspirational, not desperation.
100%. This episode of Impossible Dreams is brought to you by our charity champion, the ALS Network. The ALS Network is incredible. For families and patients who are living with this terrible disease, every day brings a new challenge. Trust me, I know. The ALS Network is there every step of the way with compassion, advocacy, and hope. They are helping patients and their loved ones all across the country, from funding groundbreaking research to hands-on support. I know firsthand how vital their work is and how much their support matters. I know that together we will accelerate progress towards better treatments and one day finding a cure. How can you help? Please visit thealsnetwork.org, make a donation, get involved. Your support really does matter. It brings us all one step closer to ending ALS. Thank you so much. Do you think that what you're really talking about there is purpose?
That's it.
And
it's 100% it.
I like, so to try and just empathize with every viewer and listener, I was aware that my purpose was to become a Broadway star. I was also then aware that wasn't affording me the life that I had dreamed of. So I needed to become a bigger star, which was let me become a TV star, which was way harder than I thought it was going to be. And then that wasn't enough either, because it wasn't happening fast enough either, right? So now I needed to be a movie star in an age when movies were, everything. I mean, it was sort of this pressure. Just kept putting all this pressure on myself.
Aaron, those aren't goals. Those are goals, not purpose.
They're correct. But I thought they were purpose because I connected them to, if I am going to be the father to my kids and the provider to my family that my father, is to, my dad, by the way, completely selfless, working, 73, still working almost 7 days a week. Every single thing goes to his kid. Just that was the bar of like, I'm an actor. If I'm unemployed right now, that means I'm a schmuck. You know what I mean? Like, what am I doing? And so I created this narrative. I created this story, and I put all this pressure on myself. And I thought that was my purpose, was to just, I lived the purpose of being the Broadway star. Now that's got to be a bigger thing. And so it's all just connected to a purpose of entertaining people, being creative, and making this millionaire lifestyle for my family that I've always dreamed of. It was so void of purpose that I would often be in conflict with myself. And you talk about this in brilliant ways about how, like you've been saying, it's not about what's on the outside. You have to align with how to create sustained excellence. I think I've read you talk about, which has nothing to do with more work. It has everything to do with aligning with your true purpose and your values. How does somebody start to do that?
First, I operationalize excellence. So for me, excellence is being at home with myself wherever I am. And so that sense of, internal peace, like to my best ability. That's what I think excellence is.
Amen.
So it's not the other thing, which is like, oh, he hit just the right note. There is excellence in that too, but the deeper part of excellence for me that is 100% under my control, which puts me in a lever and a position of real power, is like, I can control my inner experience.
Yes.
If I'm highly skilled, I'm really good at it. If I'm early on the path, I'm not so good at it.
Yes.
I've got all these thoughts happening, I got all these emotions that are flooding, and I don't have the requisite skills to be able to manage them. But over time, one of the NFL teams I'm working with right now, one of the first principles is there's a handful of first principles that I help NFL coaches and CEOs work through. Like, what are the first principles that you're going to share throughout your organization? And with this NFL team, I'll come back to first principles in a minute. With this NFL team, it's about stacking wins. We're not expected to be excellent right now. We are expected, though, to bring our very best into this rep, whether it's in the gym or whether it's in film or it's on the field or whatever. Be your very best, whatever that is. Strain, try, give yourself to it, be vulnerable, have the courage, like pour into it. And then you start stacking reps, start stacking wins, if you will. And so I think it's like this, I don't know, it's filling up your engine of your car one thimble of oil at a time. Wow. It just takes time, But so what are the things that you said, what are the things we can do? The whole thing begins with awareness. Without awareness, and there's three best practices. There's three best practices for awareness. The first is mindfulness or meditation. Uh-huh. That is a way to understand what's happening inside of you and outside of you without critique and judgment. So that's a best practice. And according to science, 8 minutes is kind of a minimum threshold. Upwards 20 minutes a day is kind of a bit more optimized. But if my first teacher, he was like, it was about 30 years ago, if he was listening to me say, count your minutes, he'd be like, oh my God, he missed the whole thing. But us Westerners kind of like, some
give me the number.
Yeah,
give me the number, man.
So 8 to 20 minutes a day of that would be a really interesting investment. So mindfulness meditation for awareness, that's number one. Number two is journaling. So it's hard to fake yourself out when you're writing. It's hard to write. And be honest. That's a difficult thing to do. It takes a real discipline to do it, but it does increase your awareness of what's happening. And then the third is conversations with people of wisdom, people that have lived compellingly interesting, introspective, discerning lives, that they have radical reference points. And they realize that, one of the greatest gifts they can give the other person is to hold a mirror up and be deeply interested in what the mirror has to say. Mm-hmm. And when you have conversations with those folks, you change. They change too a little bit, but you change. And you become more aware of how your inner world is impacting your outer world, and how the outer world, that there's all types of tripwires that I have, how that my external world can trip me into, kind of low-level thinking, shitty thinking, we call it in sport, or like more beautiful, spacious type of thinking. There's two types of thoughts. There's thoughts that constrict us, and thoughts that open us up.
Yep.
And I think one of our jobs, yours and mine, is to understand how that aperture works and keep the aperture as open and wide as we possibly can, even when our brain is saying, tighten up, get out of here, this is not okay. Sometimes it might be. Sometimes the best thing is to leave or to tighten up and brace, but not always. Not with my not with my wife, not with like a teammate of mine that, I tripped on a anxiety wire around them or something. Like, I got to keep that thing open.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, those are the 3 best practices for awareness.
Would you say that self-talk is somewhere in there?
Yeah. Self-talk is, let's call it a tool. So when you understand how you're speaking to yourself, about another person, about an experience, about your future self, like, we are talking to ourselves a lot. It's part of how we're making sense to ourselves. So when you increase your awareness of how you speak to yourself, then it's like you're going upstream a little bit to the rapids of life. Like, there's rapids coming, like we talked about earlier. But when you become aware of how you're speaking to yourself, then you get to optimize, you get to play, you get to change it. But if you're not aware, it feels like in the NFL, we talk about bang, bang plays. Like, it happens real fast. Player 1 hits 2 people kind of at the same time, like bang, bang. And the whole thing is like over before you know it. And actually, if you slow down the tape, you would see that he put his right foot down first and then kind of scooped in a certain way and then was able to adjust to hit 2 players at the same time. Like, wow, bang, bang play. And in life, it's the same way, which when you slow it down, when you go upstream and you're aware of how you speak to yourself, you get to play a different game. And that game in life is to choose the types of thoughts and to harvest the types of thoughts that you'd like to have later. So if you think about gardening as a metaphor.
I'm with you on this one.
Yeah. So if you and I are going to gripe and complain and critique, we're harvesting, we're watering the seeds of, whatever those things are that I just mentioned. And in a different way, if you and I choose to think about or talk about things that are of abundance and interesting and curious and hard to solve, and like, what would it take for us to do this, and what are the resources we need, and shit, yeah, that sucks and that's difficult. But wait, hold on, how do we actually embrace the da-da-da? So those, you can water and harvest the seeds so that they show up more naturally later. So it's harvesting the thoughts that you want to have, those seeds, if you will. And it's also, if you're upstream in the rapids of life, then you can choose more eloquently the thoughts that you'd like to have.
I just love both of those images. And both of them have been a part, that's, I would say, probably unconsciously at first, and then very consciously a part of my mindset throughout this journey, right?
What do you think the mindsets are that are required to live well in the modern world? And I'd love to know your take, because your world 5 years ago probably was radically different, and the mindsets were radically different. Like, what have you come to learn about the most important mindsets that people can develop?
It's so much of what you're talking about. It's that I used to look at people whose success I admired, people who I wish would have been mentors, right? People whose level of success I wanted to achieve and attain. And instead of having the maturity or the expansive consciousness to view these people and their lives from the lens of, what does it feel like to be that person? What do they feel when they wake up in the morning? What do they feel when they're at work? What do they feel when they go to bed? I was just looking at it like, oh, when you make a movie like that as a movie star, you're doing great. And that house makes you feel great. And all the traps, which, I mean, I don't know how I fell hook, line, and sinker for it now that I'm on the other side going, oh, come on, I was smarter than that. But we all kind of are. I think the system is still one that educates young people into a society that values those things.
Values performance and values external recognition, rewards.
100%,
Yeah.
which is why I was hoping to hear a different answer from you, that things have changed. And it's sad to me that they haven't. It also means, okay, there's more work to do and more conversations to be had. But what do I think the mindset is now? You know, it's you used the word being by yourself at home. You used the word peace. And that to me,
Being at home with yourself.
Yes.
So not being in a physical location, just that felt sense of being at home with yourself.
And for me, it's actually directly tied to home, because whenever I had found myself prior to ALS, I mean, I literally almost asked God. I did ask God. I stood in my kitchen 2 weeks before muscle twitches started with this 4 and whatever years ago. And I said, God, I just want to know how to love myself as much as this partner that I had just broken up with in a relationship. Because as soon as that breakup happened, I felt myself totally unable to be at home with myself at home. I was like, dude, it doesn't matter that you just had your first series regular on TV show. Doesn't matter that you just moved into an amazing place. Doesn't matter that your kids are doing great. You suck. You're a failure. What are you going to do? You need a relationship, or you need a job, or you need a... And so the fact that through transforming myself, being very aware from moment one, okay, I'm going to beat this, which, you know, it became, I'm going to heal from this somehow. I had no idea that healing meant change. But in changing...
Change of what?
Change of my thoughts, change of my feelings, change of my behavior, change of my beliefs, change of my disciplined practice of whatever became the patterns of my life that I had been unconscious of. I realized all of that was creating my life. It was my life.
So you had something outside of you that forced you to examine your internal experience. And how have you gone through, I still want to come back to the mindsets, but how have you gone through changing your thoughts? I don't think you're changing your feelings, but changing the way you're working with your feelings. Or maybe changing the types of feelings that you are having as a reflective response to, like, I don't know, spilt milk and or looking at yourself in the mirror.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was like, I used the example of, I would do the dishes and be so angry. And I'd be angry because I was unaware but I was judging myself as a failure, that I wasn't making enough money in my job, or I wasn't this, I wasn't enough.
Pre-diagnosis.
Yes, pre-diagnosis. And so I was unhappy with who I was and my life, and I couldn't get out of the tractor beam of that. No matter how hard I tried, I knew I didn't want to feel that way. I didn't know how to stop feeling that way. It became a conscious sort of choice of like, all right, look, man, with whatever time I've got left, the number one thing is I want to enjoy my life. And so I've got to change these so that I'm doing, whether I'm doing dishes or sitting in a chair while my partner has to feed me because my hands don't work, I want to be the happiest guy in the world. Like I want to be not just surviving, I want to be thriving. And it's just disciplined practice of choosing, as you said just a few minutes ago, we get to choose over and over and over and over again to break you get off of those old train tracks and start new ones.
It's possible. And you're resting on good science.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah, you're resting on good
Tell me a little bit about that, because I've just been preaching that it feels true, guys, but like, you know.
Yeah. Well, before I drop into the science mode a little bit, what do you name that mindset?
I would call it the victory mindset instead of the victim mindset.
It's cool, victory. And then so it begs a question like, so I defined excellence earlier. Have you got to the place where you're able to define what victory means?
Yes. Victory is, for me, staying on purpose, in belief that making a full reversal of this. And by the way, I if I get a chance to mention it, I do. There are now 63 reversals of sporadic ALS, alsreversals.org, that I can be, at first it was 61, and then it was 62, and then it was 60. Now it's 64, whatever it is. I don't care what the number is.
There's 64. There's 63 people that have reversed ALS.
Yes. And in fact, side note, Brett, my buddy Brett Goldberg, my business partner, producer on the podcast, along with Robbie Shaw, Brett and I after talking to Mark Cuban, who was on the show, and Mark said, okay, you want to know what I would do with AI to attack ALS? Here's what I would do. So we now have what's called the Impossible Dream Machine with a data science company, Mark's support, and two of the top ALS docs in the country, including the one at Duke, which is our alma mater, on the board of this, basically trying to use AI to look at these reversals and understand and go, how has nobody ever done that? And the doctors go, well, we've always wanted to, but there hasn't been the time and there hasn't been the money. And so,
this is pretty rad.
It's pretty cool. But again, like if you told
yeah.
me this is where my life would be 5 years ago.
But even that, yeah, right, 100%. Even that number though creates a different narrative of possibility. You know, like I wish it wasn't true for me. I wish that I didn't need some sort of confirmation that something can be done. But when I know that one other has done it, let alone 63, it does create a little bit more space for me to go, yeah, okay. I wish, as I'm saying it out loud, I wish that I didn't need that.
I wish I didn't either.
Yeah, but I do. And that's why I need in my life people to keep pointing to what is possible. I'm constantly thinking about what is better than probable, like what is possible for me and for another person. I call it like, so it's an actual best practice for me is to sit with another person, to get to know them a little bit, and then go away, close my eyes and imagine what is possible for that person. What's the vision I can hold or cast for that person that is unreasonable? But just maybe, if we thread this thing.
You know why I love that so much? I first spoke about this publicly almost 2 years ago.
Your diagnosis?
Yeah. And I had only told my kids about it just months before that. So for about a year and a half, I just said, I don't want anybody worrying about me. I am going to take this on. I'm going to go on a ride, and I'm going to see what I learn, and I'm going to see what I can do, and I'm going to do it. By the time the story sort of came out very unintentionally, and then the Broadway media started to put it out there, and People Magazine's calling me, and it's like they said, well, we'll pray for you. Everyone was saying, we'll pray for you, we'll pray for you. And out of nowhere, I just said, can I ask you a favor? Can that prayer for me please be you envisioning and imagining me 100% and filling that vision with your love and your magic, which is what you just said. What is possible for that person? And how, because that to me is the prayer. I don't need the fear. I don't want anyone's fear. I don't want anyone's pity. I know that's true with a lot of not just ALS patients, but other people dealing with disease. In order to change the game, we have to change the level of consciousness at which we are playing the game. And to me, that's one way to do it.
You know, the second step in this, as I'm nodding my head to everything you're saying, is I think it's really important when I do that thing of using my imagination is really what I'm talking about. And you're calling it consciousness. I'm talking about my imagination in this sense. And then to calibrate it with the other person. Share it. So the way that I do this is, let's say it's you and me. And I go, hey, listen, I'm going to go away and like really try to think about a compelling future that both of us sign up for. So I go away and I say, I want you to do the same. And let's come back and talk about it. Like, okay, good. So I go away a couple days later, we meet back up. And I say, you want to go first? You want me to go first? Right? And sometimes they'll go, no, you go. You know, and I got it.
I love it.
Yeah. And then what I'm doing, if I'm sharing first or second, it doesn't much matter. But I'm looking for pupil dilation or constriction. I'm looking for body language. I want to see did I just shock the system or did I shoot too low? So I want to.
Which? Dilation is.
So when we're interested, we're dilated.
Okay.
We're tighten it up when we're constricted. And so let's say another more easy is like body language. Like if they kind of give the frontalis muscles and they squint their eyes a little bit, like that's all you see, you know, or the eyes come up like, whoa, you see that? So we're just looking for like micro expressions or full expressions, not necessarily the language, but the connection between body and verbal language is what we're looking for, the connection.
Okay.
And that calibration has to be important because if I overshot and the person doesn't believe it's possible, it's not going to happen. And now I'm signing up for this weird game. I got to try to pull somebody I'm not into that game at all. If I undershot and they go, no way, dude, I might have undershot for you because I didn't know about reversals. And I don't know if my if my imagination would have allowed me to go to a full reversal. So the calibration's really important. Because let's say I say, I don't know, something, whatever it might be, and then you come back and you go, no, dude, like 64. Remember that number, Mike? 64. Maybe somebody beats me. Maybe I'm 65. I don't know. But that's what I'm shooting for. And on the journey for 64, what number do you like better?
Let's go with 64 right now.
Yeah, let's go right for it. Let's go for it. Okay, good. I see you.
Let's speed this up, baby.
So 64 is a number. Like as I'm going to 64, look, there's a way that I want to do my daily life. And so it's the process and the vision that we want to line up. And so your old process was I'm pissed off while I'm doing the dishes. Your new process sounds like it's something about, there's a graciousness and a gratitude about like the thing that you're doing, and there's a appreciation for the other people, and like fill in the blanks. So that's where we start to get into the weeds and say, okay, so we're both aligned on 64. You go, yeah. Oh man, are you sure? Yeah, fuck, that's awesome. Are you kidding me? That gets my hair to stand up. Okay, good. All right. So we're nodding our heads to it. Then we go, look, I'm going to go on that. I'm going to go on this thing with you. Let's get a plan together. And my job is to help you stay disciplined on the plan, because this is not going to be easy. You're going to need to be great with your inner language. You're going to be great with your words. You need to be world class with how you're lining those things up. Let's fucking see what we got here.
Amen, brother.
So that's where we build the plan. And that's where in elite sport, there's lots of problems in elite sport. Okay. It's kind of unrealistic that most people would ever get the chance to do it at that level. So it kind of feels like this fishbowl, like these weird, born talented people. There's some genetic talent, but the discipline to train every day towards the edge of your capabilities, when in front of your coach who decides if you play or not, in front of a teammate who's trying to take your position in the roster, in an exhausted, tired, messy state where you're making mistakes in front of everyone, is not easy. This is not an easy path. And we miss all of that. We see them on Sunday. We see them on game day, and they look like these massive, amazing, artistic giants sometimes. And we miss all of the vulnerability and courage required each day, and the discipline to not just be on time, but to be early. To not just take care of yourself, but be in service of your teammate being great. Mm-hmm. And you and I can use that same type of things in our lives, which is how do we go build a disciplined plan, support and challenge each other every day to be our very best. And that's when I say no one does it alone. World-class sport is a beautiful reminder of that.
Can we just take a pause on that and just go, I mean, you just answered one of my questions, which was how does this apply not just to the professional, but to life, just being a world-class human. And I think you just gave us so much insight to that, and I thank you for that. You guys, I just want to take a second to say thank you to you, the audience. This show doesn't happen without you. I am, from the bottom of my heart, I am deeply grateful to you, because I started The Impossible Dream as a platform to help myself heal and to help other people heal. This podcast is all about that, and without you, that can't happen. We help each other heal. It really does take a village. So if you could just take a second to click and subscribe, like us, rate and review the show. Your comments really do help. Not only do they help us bring you other guests that you want to hear from, but they help us improve the show. They help us grow the show. Your engagement helps us expand what's possible for the reach of Impossible Dreams. So thank you. Truly thank you. Thank you for being a part of the Impossible Dreams team.
Yeah, so it's holding that vision, but then the process piece that I'm talking about is like, what are the values that are uncompromising for you? And how will you express those values in calm waters and rugged waters? And that requires mental skills training. So there's an awareness training that we're talking about, and then what sits on top of that are the mental skills to be about it.
Yes.
Self-talk is a mental skill. Breathing is a mental skill to regulate your intensity levels. Imagination, imagery, some people call it visualization, is a mental skill.
Yes. And
I could go on, but those are basic mental skills to be great at.
And, first of all, we should play this game, guys. Sarah, we should definitely play this game. Sarah is like, you want to talk about, the team analogy. right? I mean, everybody in this room is on my team.
Yeah.
And somehow talking about this publicly, which I didn't plan on doing, it garnered a sort of amount of love and support from people. Everybody out there is on my team in a way. The amount of love, right? Like one of those values that has just become infinitely more important than anything else is just love.
Okay, I go. Can I hit you with something?
Please do.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
You're okay to be coach for a moment?
You can literally hit me.
What if it wasn't your team?
Just get that right jaw right there.
What if it wasn't your team? What if it's the team? This is our team. You've got a role, right? Sarah's got a role. And Brett's got a role. It's the team, not your team. Because your team hints at version whatever 5 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. What if it's the team? You're the front person. You're the one that is kind of going through the unique physiological changes. Everyone in this room that's on the team is also changed their life in response to your condition. And they're supporting you. You have to support them. So support and challenge are two hinge ideas that are really important. And the ordering is foundational. Support, then challenge, right? So they need to support you and challenge you. You need to support them and challenge them to be their very best because you're on the team together. So if it's just your team, you're taking the best of them. How about it? And I know I'm probably hitting on a couple landmines in here, but
I was just going to say that the timing of what you just said is so divine in that I have found myself just recently over the last, couple weeks, month, advocating for my team members, right? I think, Robbie, you felt me do this a lot. I think, Brett, because we work on other things together, I hope you feel it from me. I've been advocating for my partner. I've been advocating for my caregiver. And recently I've really had to learn how to advocate for and support. When I say advocate, I mean support. To use your word of support versus challenge, support my parents, who for them, this has been just an awful experience. And I keep challenging them as much as I can to allow this to break them open in ways that make it extraordinary, not excruciating. And they are in such resistance and walking the line of how much do I challenge them versus yesterday in talking to my dad, I literally said to Sarah, he's so broken over this that I cannot challenge him right now. And I cannot challenge my mom. It's not the time to do it. I have to just somehow let go and love them for who they are, which today I go, that's supporting them. I have to support them because they're on the team.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, our teams are bigger than we usually know, but there's like an inner circle and then a little bit of outer layer. And, but I do like the idea of, I don't want it to be, and I'm speaking from personal, it's not pain, but like suffering, sorry, is the word I was looking for, is that I nearly lost the love of my life, the relationship that we had. She said, I'm done with the relationship. And so, because it was my team and I was the selfish, self-absorbed, self-focused, the one that was like trying to figure out every little nuance. I read every research article in the field. Like I was maniacal obsessed to really understand how the mind works. It has served me well, but it almost cost me everything. We separated, which is step one to a divorce. Like most people that separate don't, and we moved out of the house together. And she was so rad. She said, look, you're a good man. I love you, but I can't be me around you. Oh, Jesus. That was not her doing as much as it was my doing in the situation. It was a collision for the two of us. So I'm saying this, I just want to make sure I'm sharing my bias in that the trigger when you said my team, and I was like, wait, hold on. I've seen this. I felt this. It didn't work out well for me. Now it has worked out well. It's our team now, and so that shifting, and we are teammates.
I thank you so much for sharing that. That hits deeply home. I've been through a divorce.
Yeah.
It was the beginning of just the complete loss of identity. And I do have there is something in me that goes like, to get this done, whatever this at the moment might be.
64.
Right. At this moment, it's 64. To get this done, I know what I got to do. And part of the process of surrendering to God, life, the creator, whatever you want to call it, over these last couple of years has been learning sometimes, most of the time, probably maybe all the time, I don't know shit. And it's a lot, it's easier. Aaron 5 years ago, that's a lot of work, man. That's a lot of work holding all that up. This is a lot of work dealing with physical challenge. The work and discipline and practice of getting my mind to a place where now I can not just live with this, but I can enjoy my life with this, that has happened. And I am infinitely grateful for getting there. And part of getting there was letting go of that I know best necessarily for anything. And it was a lot of asking for help from people and God, and staying open to things going in ways that I could never possibly imagine, while still being super connected to that unreasonable thing. That's just like, look, I mean, God brought Michael into the studio today, man, for us to talk about. It's another, when just after a month of things physically getting really hard, like, here's another breadcrumb keeping us on the path, you know?
Yeah.
And I look at it all. It's all miracles now.
Is God active or passive?
Super active. Incredibly. Well, I think he's as active, or it's as active as you believe it to be. I turned off my entire heart. There's this amazing graphic. It's I don't know if you know the energy healer David Elliott, but he has a book called Healing. And in his book, there's this graphic of a silhouette of a man, and there's a spiral coming out of the person's heart, going to something he calls UEF, universal energy flow. And then this whole flow of life that happens. That's when you're in flow, when your heart is open and you're in flow. And then there's a line from the belly button down, and it goes from fear all the way, through all the negative, lower vibrational, lower levels of consciousness stuff to illness and death. And I looked at that and went, oh, Jesus, I'm on the other line. I'm on the other line, and I've got to open up that thing again. And as soon as I did that, I made a conscious choice to say, God, source energy, the universe, infinite consciousness, whatever you call it. It wasn't a religious thing. It was a deeply sort of spiritual cry for, let's co-create together. Let's make this life together. I can't do it alone. I've been trying. It's not working. I'm on the other line, And so I think God is so active now. This whole thing, Michael, this whole thing has been way beyond. I'm answering a call that God has been like, oh, you're here. Welcome to the party, man. And now I'm going to help you. I've been here all along.
Yeah,
You've just been you turned the television station off.
Yeah, cool. What are some of the best practices you're using to be able to navigate, the difficult parts of life? Because I'll if you want me to go first, I'm happy to go first. But
sure,
I don't want to almost kind of taint the water, if you will.
Okay, well then, meditation has been certainly one of them, and all kinds of meditation. It started with, I don't even know what meditation is. And by the way, I should say, leading up to symptoms of ALS, I had been invested in self-development, personal growth, spirituality for a decade. I just couldn't embody it. It was an intellectual pursuit, and I knew something was there, and I was passionate about it, and my friends were sick of me trying to talk about it. It was just all woo-woo, and I would just go deeper and deep down these rabbit holes, and I never integrated. And then all of a sudden, this turning point, which leads me to the, I had a world-renowned medium on the show named Rebecca Rosen, who basically said, Aaron, your soul chose this. Even though you did your damnedest very ambitiously to probably break your nervous system with how you were living, it was going to happen because your soul is that ambitious and chose this thing. Now, I believe it. You don't have to, right? But to me, it speaks to a trust that there is a level of things going on here that I don't control and that I don't need to control, and I can just trust and let go. Athletes say this all the time. I'm a big Eagles fan. And A.J. Brown is a fascinating player and a spiritual dude who, after this weekend where he'd made this unbelievable play, he said, man, I just stuck my hand out there. God caught that ball. And I used to look at athletes and go, come on, man. You walk off the field, thanks be to Jesus. Jesus won that game. And I didn't understand. I was like, no, dude, you won. But now I go, oh, yes, this is all thanks to God.
Yeah,
I could talk about it for days.
Yeah, you're on it. I think some folks are down the path like you are with training. They've got a meditation practice. They've got a gratitude practice. They've got, something else they're doing for arousal regulation or mental imagery or, keep going if you will.
I use both of those.
Yeah. Yep. And there's other folks that are like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. That's mumbo jumbo.
Yep.
And one of the things that we developed, and I think we've got it on your website or our website for you, is just a very simple 60-second morning mindset routine. And it's before you get out of bed. And there's 4 steps to it. And I'll share the link for you guys to be able to do it. But it's an audio file that your folks can download. But it's 4 simple things, which is before you get out of bed, before you check your phone, before you do anything, you tune into one breath. It sends a signal to the brain that like, oh, I'm in charge of this thing. And there's no wildebeest. There's no saber tooth. Like one long exhale resets the system that I'm in control and I'm going to move from a relaxed state rather than a tense state. I haven't even gotten out of bed yet. One breath, one thought of gratitude. And the gratitude is not like check the list I'm grateful for. It's an embodied feeling where it's like you bristle. There's like a mini kind of explosion, if you will, like, oh, I really feel.
Wow.
Okay, so that takes a little bit of time to get to that place. So you start with the checklist, but then you move it. And the third is an intention. You use your imagination to see how you want to show up at a particular time in your life today. And so that means you got to kind of know what you're doing today, but how do you want to walk through a threshold? Roll through a threshold in your case. How do you want to move into a space? And so that's a really important part of using your imagination. And then before you get out of bed is that you just take a moment to be wherever your body is, and so just be there, and so that's about practicing being fully present. Those 4 steps, we'll load you guys up with it. And I'll put it in the show notes or ask you to put it in the show notes, but I think it's a great, simple little practice.
Dr. Michael Gervais, you are such a cool dude.
Thanks, man.
I've been such a fan, and I'm not just now a fan of you and your work. I'm a fan of you, and I appreciate you so much. And
thank you.
I look forward to our next conversation.
This is great.
Yeah,
appreciate
so much,
you. Thank you.
Thank you.